Costa Rica's and the world's mysterious stone spheres. Jill and I went to Costa Rica on purpose, specifically to film and study the stone spheres there. I guess I must have been 10 or 12 years old when I first heard about them. I don't go back quite to the time of hearing about them when they were first discovered. By the way, they were mentioned in the 19th century, but no one did anything about them until the 1940s. So Jill and I went there. I was hoping, desperately hoping, to be able to film 6 of the spheres. I thought if I can film half a dozen, then my trip will have been worth it. And we did about nearly 40 of them. So the trip was really worth it. I never once expected to be able to see that many. Just a point as to where Costa Rica is located. Greenland, Canada, United States of America, Mexico, Central America, and way down here, this little tiny looking place, but it's pretty big, by the way. Jill says get out of the way. She's always directing me. But you can see it's just a tiny thing on this. You know what I call this area here? This is kind of like a Mother Earth blood vein connecting all of North America with all of South America. You know, I mentioned Grandfather Commanda, and the time has come for the eagle of the north and the condor of the south to come together with the wisdom. So I'm seeing this as the bloodline connection, and maybe the stone balls have something to do with that. If you look closely here, Costa Rica here, Nicaragua here, I don't know if you call it a problem or not, but there are a lot of people in Nicaragua want to get into Costa Rica, and they're coming. They're just spilling over. Some of the Costa Ricans don't care a whole lot about that. You've got Panama below here. See how big this is? Right here. Strange thing about Costa Rica, however, it has 12 completely different environmental systems. 12 in that little tiny place. I mean, we'd get one day and we'd drive an hour, and it would be the awfulest storms you ever saw. We'd drive another hour, be the hottest sun you've ever seen. It's just strange how you can just move from one area to another. This I wanted to just give you a couple of images of things that we saw. This is, whoops. This is a howler monkey. They howl. You're going along and go, ooh, 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 ooh. And they also do a lot of other interesting things. This is called a rhinoceros beetle. If you're afraid of bugs, don't do like I did and put it in your hand like that. But look how big he is. Like the rhinoceros horn in Costa Rica, they think if you eat this, it helps you with your sex life. This little guy here is very dangerous. That's probably the best photograph ever done of that little critter. It's called a poison arrow frog. And 1/1000th of a drop of its sweat will paralyze you. But I've got him on a leaf, and I'm praying at the moment, saying, "Don't jump until I get through." Okay, so he didn't. Little three-toed sloth. He was the three-toed sloth was awake a total of 17 seconds. I mean, you know, everybody came up. He's hugging the bushes. He's asleep. He wakes up and looks around and goes back to sleep. They sleep 20-some hours per day. This is an iguana. Some of the crowd, they were having a big peace festival. I like that. You'll hear a little bit more about peace in Costa Rica because they now have great peace. But they had the doves out. This was, I like this, this was the roadway. They don't tell you about it but until you get on that roadway and you're going way over to the coast. And then they say, okay, now for the next 3 hours, we're going to give you a great massage. And you're going, boom, 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 because rocks that big in the road, they haven't done anything to get over there. Costa Rica, what are we looking at here? What are we trying to find? Now, I've put some crosses, and Jill already got on me on that. But these represent stone balls, places they found the stone balls in Costa Rica. It's pretty obvious here. This is the main place where in 1940 the United Fruit Company came in and started clearing the land, just shoving things out. And the head of that company, by the way, started the tradition, which is going on here in Bosnia now, started the tradition of taking these great stone balls and putting them in one's yard. Now, I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm going to tell it. Jill told the story totally with innocence, and she said that these have become status symbols. And the guys with the largest ones have the most status. Now, that's just what she told me. They've also been found up in this area here, and they've been found on a little island out in that area. In this particular gulf, a number of them were found. But you know what I think? I think once we check out Central America, we're going to find that Costa Rica is just one of many places there that have the stone balls. In fact, I think we're going to find out as we check around the world that it's much more extensive. Isla del Cano, the island of Del Cano, right out from the Diquís Valley area, but far enough out you would wonder how in the world they would transport these stones out there if they made them over on the mainland, or if they made them over on the island, how would they transport them over to the mainland and then all the way into the interior. Now these things are, well, they're different sizes. Some of them, you know, look like golf balls. And as they get bigger, they weigh more. And the largest one is so large that there have been a wide range of estimates up to 35 tons, from 16 to 35 tons, about 2.5 meters high. I got a picture a little bit later on. I can reach up, if I stand on my tiptoes, about 7 feet. You can see it's a good 2 to 3 feet higher than I'm reaching. This is the main area. You can see right out here, the Diquís area here, where they were found in the forest. This is Palmer area, and the little island, see that little tiny thing out there? What the heck are they doing with stone balls out there on that little island? Something's important out there. First time that this became popularized was in the film Indiana Jones. You remember that scene where he's running down through the tunnel and this great stone ball is chasing him along. After that, it seemed like everybody in the world wanted to go see him. So movies help. These are 3 of them on the grounds of the National Museum in San Jose. 3 different sizes, and I'm sure at least 2 different stone compositions. I am convinced that this stone is entirely different from these 2. Now, we must remember that if these stones had any astronomical alignment or anything connected to them, once they're taken out of situ, all of that disappears. Also, it's happened around the world. When somebody sees something like this, like these big stone balls, they get in their head that it has to have some very valuable treasure in it, otherwise nobody would have made such a thing. And that treasure's got to be diamonds or gold or whatever else is valuable, and so many of them were open. This is one of them on the island of Kano. Looks like one we saw today. A little bit more circular. The main one we saw today is a little bit more oval, but similar. You're going to see before the presentation is over that there is a great likeness between Bosnian stone balls and Costa Rican stone balls. Again, the place they were found, here, here, and here. Eleanor and Sam Lothrop were the first to really check these out. Now Samuel was a member of the Peabody Museum, Harvard University, and he went to Costa Rica to work on a particular project, but it was way in the north of Costa Rica. Isn't it interesting how synchronicity works? He went to work in the north, and they said, well, you can't go there because there's a great revolution going on now, and this is 1943, and so they said, you can't go up there because they'll shoot you. And so they had spent a long time getting ready and funding for this trip, and Doris Stone, who was, that's a nice name for one of the researchers, isn't it? Doris Stone, you couldn't beat that. She was the daughter of one of the CEOs of the United Fruit Company that first came in there. She started studying them, and she told Sam and Eleanor, said, hey, you gotta go over here to Palomar, that is in the Diquís Valley area. And he said, what in the world's over there? Bananas? He knew that they were clearing out. Well, when these two got over there, he went out of his mind because this was pristine kind of stuff. There were still some of the stones in situ, and so he was the first to look at them. Here's what the banana company was running into. I mean, you're clearing out trees, and you say, whoops. Now, to give you a hint as to the size of these, look at the size of that chain. Those links have got to be the size of a human head. And they're wrapping them around this stone and picking them up. And some people say when they see the stones, well, gee, they're damaged. Well, yeah, you know, if they carted you around with a chain like that and bulldozers and cranes and flipped you out of the jungle here and there. But look at this. Look at the size of these things. Here's the head of the fruit company. Look at his yard. Bong, 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 bong. And I understand that the 80 stone spheres that were in the gully over there, that many of them have wound up in people's yards here in Bosnia. This is Eleanor. One of the things they did, they wanted to see if they actually did a dig, if they would find any of the stone balls. Now this is funny. They spent about 10 minutes digging and started hitting them. And this was the first pit that they sank, and they found two. Of course, they found several as they went on, and Eleanor, who said, you know, she was an anthropologist's wife and didn't know anything, is the way she put it, but she said she estimated underground there were thousands of them. Thousands. Now, I've noticed what archaeologists do. I noticed that you get these big numbers, and they're probably accurate. When you hear that there were 900 of these stone balls found in Costa Rica, that's probably right. But later on, as these things get over in yards and this and another, the numbers start coming down. And then they say, well, there have been 300 found. Well, maybe 278 found. See, they bring them down. Like up in Isle Royal, where Jay and I are working on the project up there of the ancient copper. On Isle Royal, it was estimated there were at least 10,000 ancient mines. So the archaeologists go in, do a field study, they discover 1,000 of them and say, boy, we can't look for any more, but it's in the official literature that there are 1,000 ancient mines just because they stopped looking. Now here's some of the configuration that that Eleanor and Samuel discovered. But I wonder about this. I know you can, you know, if you take three figures, if I take any three of you and say, you stand here and you stand here and you stand here, and let's draw a line between you, you're going to wind up with a triangle, okay? You can't help yourself. But they say, well, these alignments, you know, maybe we're with stars, but then again, if you're working with billions of stars and formations and you find a couple of triangles, it may very well be that they're going to line up with something. So I'm a little bit leery here. Almost all the balls traditionally thought to be carved of lava, but no tools of any sort have been found. What does that mean? It means something wrong with the hypothesis. You know, they say, they make the big argument with the Norse or the Vikings were never in North America. Why? Well, we can't find their garbage dump. Well, maybe you haven't looked in the right place. But no tools, all of these around through here. And then they estimate that these stones, now, good gosh, think of this. These stones came from 50 miles away. They found some stone that kind of looked like them in the cliffs, and they say this must be where they got them. Did you ever try to take a several-ton stone ball or several hundred stone balls from a quarry and carry it 50 miles through the jungle? Did you ever attempt that? It's rough. First place they dug in the silt, they found the two balls. And here, Dr. Rothert finds pottery in the same strata as the stone balls, and you say, yippee, now we can date them, but you can't. You can't because, you know, at my house they found a 1700s German coin. Well, does that mean that Germans were living there in the 1700s? Well, probably not. It probably means that somebody in the 1800s had a 1700 German coin and lost it when they lived there. You know, so you can't tell just by that one aspect. Now here is a stone animal carved by the same people. And one of the things that I want to go back over to the Bosnian balls and look for are strange. I saw a couple of stones over there. Two of them I put on film so I can look at later. But I think that they are carved, and I think they're part of the same tradition. I don't know what this is. It looks like one of those big Chinese dogs. Now here's a guy, John Hoops, University of Canada, who is, I like to do this, George Carlin said, don't ever do this to me. He is the authority on the stone balls. The reason he's the authority is UNESCO asked him to go to Costa Rica and see if these stone balls are worthy of preservation. Let me just ask a question here. Let me just pose this. How many of you in this room think that the stone balls are worthy of preservation? Yes. Okay. How many think we ought to destroy the rest of them? Well, that's what I thought. What does it take to know that this incredibly valuable cultural resource is worthy of preservation? But that's what he's doing there. Now he's saying, oh, guys have been messing up, and you know, and this, that, and another, and all the stories are not true. Don't you like this picture? Yeah. Yeah. If I were a stone ball, that's right where I want to be. One of the things we wanted to sense around is kind of like, we've done that a little bit here, go around and ask people in this area if they know about the Bosnian pyramids. Good question. So Jill speaks Spanish. I hate her for that. But anyway, well, the reason I hate her, I hired an English-speaking guy to take us out and I heard 3 words of English the whole trip. Jill and the guy spoke in Spanish, and every 10 minutes Jill would turn around and give me the translation. She'd say mountain, you know. But anyway, Jill stopped this stranger on the street and started asking him about the stone balls. And he didn't know who made them, but he did know about them. And we saw this structure, and Jill said, man alive, look at that. That's kind of artistically in the shape of one of those stone balls. And I said, well, let's go inside. And then inside stone ball. Little guy here, look at that concentration in those eyes. That little guy may have the answer before it's all over. Hey, I love this. We saw the first stone ball we saw today, water fountain. Look at this. Everybody's making water fountains out of them. I mean, they make good water fountains. These were the ones that I found at a hotel. Hotel just pulled them in their little water fountain. They put 6 of them there. And you think, man, what is this, Target? You know the store Target? I did some research on the Target stone balls and made a lot of splash on Facebook, but not with the scientists. And this is one we found pretty far out. Obviously it's been moved. I love the moss growing on it. Give you some idea of the size of it. This was a little restaurant. We didn't know we were going to see this one. We stopped to eat. And suddenly, there's this big stone ball. And Jill went ahead and ate, and then she came back out. But I filmed most of the time, and then Jill filmed after she ate. Now, I wanted to point this out. Recognize these? Okay, that's when the revolution was taking place. This was a fort during the revolution. You know what the Costa Ricans have done? They disbanded the army. And all the money that went to the army goes to education. Costa Rica has 99.9% literacy. The highest literacy in the world. But they've left this up. This is now the National Museum. When you walk in, that's what you see. And as I'm walking in, I'm thinking, maybe I don't want to look at these balls. I want to stay away from here. It's sort of recognizable, isn't it? This is one of them out in the courtyard. Pretty good size one. Now, Jill is an artist. And so I'm asking her all sorts of artistic questions, about design, and she came up with a hypothesis, which I'm going to talk about in just a little bit. There we are together. It gives you an idea. Big old wall. Big old guy. So I'll get my tape measure out. We did a lot of different kinds of research on them, as you'll see. Measuring them was one of them. These are the ones you saw earlier, the first ball, which was from a different angle back here. This is different stone from this. And all this watermark here, this is in an environmental rainforest. They do that for the butterflies. And so these stone balls get rained on every day. I'm trying to spot something. I'm trying to sense something. At this point, I don't know what. And I said, well, it's about this wide. And see this area here? Remember that big chain? Not unexpected. There's a closer look of it. This is another set of them. So Jill and I are talking about them, and whoa. There's a hole. Now, I'm interested in holes in the stone for other reasons, because I've been chasing the so-called triangular-shaped hole literally all over the world that some think was used in ancient times for mooring. That with a flat chisel, you create a triangular hole, and they put the mooring pin in, and it would hold it tightly. So I see this hole and I'm looking at it and I'm saying, wait, is this one of those triangular holes? Of course it wasn't. It was circular. My guess is this is one of those stones that the person said, you know, there's gold and silver in here. And if I can get this hole big enough to get a stick of dynamite in, I can find that silver. You can see how much this is about a 2-inch wide hole. Now we're on the inside of the museum, and we did a couple things. We did some things outside and did some things inside. Now these are little guys. These are about the size of bowling balls. Now here I am standing at what represents the largest one. I can't remember if I'm on my tiptoes or not, but I'm holding my hand as high as I can hold, and I estimate that I can reach up about 7 foot, and we're probably, I don't know, 2 foot or so above me. But if I were Indiana Jones and saw that sucker after me, I'd get out of there quickly. So then we wanted to test some things like what happens to a compass when you walk past it. And in one case, and maybe this will be information that will be valuable to you, Jill's holding the compass here, and I am filming, and when we walked past this one ball, it went off more than 104 degrees. Now, if I'm testing magnetic reaction on a compass and I get 3, 4, 5 degrees, I'm thinking that is outrageous. That's a lot of energy. But and I'm glad we were filming this. It was a burst of energy. If you look, this is true north, and when we walked past this one ball, it went all the way to here. And it's the only time it did it. It was a burst of energy, not continuous energy. What that means, I'm not sure, but I think it's important. This is one that after Dr. Sam got my slides and talked about, he talked about this one today out at the Bosnian one. But this is a petroglyph. Now, interestingly, this one is cut in two, and this became incredibly important to us in what we were trying to research because it was cut in two. But here is the petroglyph. Does this mean anything to anybody? I haven't been able to make it all out. It looks almost like the flower of life. It looks like a number of things to me, but I'm not sure. I've seen this petroglyph on petroglyphs in the Southwest, but I don't know what it is or what it represents. Anybody? Gee, I was hoping. This one's kind of more understandable, the maze or the spiral, and that's certainly a universal one. Right on top of one of these balls. Now here's the one that was broken in half, and this is where we jumped up and down and spit BBs, because it was like Eureka. See those little black things right there? That little one there, and that little one there. You know what those are? River pebbles. River pebbles. Hey, granite lovers, are you used to seeing inside granite balls river pebbles? Look at that. So you know what Jill said? This may be important too, certainly with the work being done here in Bosnia. She said they are concrete, that they have been poured. Now, I've been fighting her ever since, but she hasn't changed her opinion. Look at this. This is a concrete kind of substance, because every one of these little things here, these are little river stones. This is This is a mixture of something. I have no doubt in my mind whatsoever that this stone here was poured. Has to have been. So then we said, well, wait a minute. If you pour concrete balls, one of the things you probably would need would be concrete. So we started looking around through the museum to see if we could locate anything that might be concrete. And here we ran into this guy here. He's over 6 foot tall. And there's a little sign down here that said, done in ancient times and is made from concrete. That's funny. Look at that. Their theory, I love theories. Their theory says that they dug a hole in the ground in the shape of a man and they poured the concrete and they turned him over and poured more concrete and then beat him around until he looked like this. Well, if they're pouring concrete, they're probably technologically a little more advanced than that, but I don't want to jump on them. Here's Jill. Stand up, Jill. So you can see how much taller he is than Jill. Of course, he's on a box and she is. And then I said, well, how would you pour it? What would you pour it in? And suddenly we hit this gigantic pot, and I said, boy, look at that. Wouldn't that be, if you filled that sucker up? That was just a thought. This thing here is probably 4 to 5 feet high. Now, guess what I ran into? Mold for stone sphere Bosnian study. That is, this has already been tested here in Jill's theory, Jill's hypothesis. And here's how they think it might have been done. That is, you pour it in your little mold, and then you break the mold away, and then you have this little thing here. But that's not a hard problem to resolve. And here is a poured stone ball in Bosnia. Somebody's yard. Now, who made these stones? Well, I went through the museum doing photographs of various looking people, and I said, did this guy here make them? He looks more like he saw somebody make them. Did this guy, he looks like, oh my goodness, I don't know. But, I look around to these figures and I think they're wonderful, but I don't know. What do you think? And this is the Diquís culture gold artifacts. Let me tell you, if you are a civilization that can make gold artifacts like this, you are not culturally deprived. This takes a high civilization to create this object. We ran into an unusual stone grave, and I just threw this in because it may be connected or it may not be connected. After all, we do have Osiris, we do have Quetzalcoatl, we do have Kontiki, we do have Viracocha, the figure of usually it's a bearded guy who comes and brings civilization. And we found this one skeleton, which I was amazed at. His hands are cut off and his feet are cut off. But he is in this bad condition, a little more than 6 feet without feet. See where his feet are cut off there? And they said the stone grave was somewhere about 800 before present. So I just said, okay, let's see what I can find on stone-lined graves. This is Costa Rica. These here also. This is the British Isles, Wales. This is Ireland. This is Kentucky. Might as well throw the state in. Boy, this thing's handy, isn't it? And the one over in the right is Tennessee. They really are very similar grades, so I would estimate that rather than independent invention, there was probably some connection here. Now I want to just take a look at some of the stone spheres from around the world. When I first went to Costa Rica, I didn't know the world had them. And we're talking the last 2 or 3 years. So this is a learning process for me, and I'm saying, whoa. Greenland, up in the upper left corner. See that big guy there? See that man standing on top of him? That is one big dude, that stone. California, along the beach. They say these are naturally formed. They say these in Utah are naturally formed. They say these in New Zealand are naturally formed. They probably say, well, they have been saying, there's still people saying the ones in Costa Rica were formed by nature. Sue Cotter found this one. She's a member of the Ancient Kentucky group that I'm president of, and she found this one in Arkansas. And guess what? She's been on a river tour in Germany, and she's found one along the Rhine. And this is one that Yoli Molina spotted on Mystery Mountain in West Virginia. I haven't told her yet it's a stone ball, but I'm sure it is. Portsmouth, Ohio, that's my hometown. I mean, I lived in Kentucky, but Portsmouth is just across the river. And Jill and I were filming in the Scioto County Museum, and Jill said, look at that ball. Not very big, that's a stone ball. Lake Superior concretions. Yeah. We filmed these in a little shop up there. You can buy these if you want. And they're about, well, from the size of about a softball down to about the size of a big marble. Ecuador. We got back home. Synchronicity again. We went out to a little lemongrass restaurant, a little Thai restaurant. We sit down and we're talking to each other about the stone balls of Costa Rica because we just gotten back. And this woman sitting at the next table said, I've got one. And I said, you've got one what? And she said, a stone ball, but it's from Ecuador. And I said, can we go film it? And she said, yeah. I said, when? She said, right now. We did. We went and filmed it. By the way, Jill and I now own this ball. You can see from the hand, the size of it. It's small. And Jill was talking about her idea of concrete. And here's a little mark on this one. The lady told us that her father worked in Ecuador for 40, 50 years. And that the indigenous people often brought these to them. And this was the smallest one of a group that he had. One, she said, she was way too big to carry. And the indigenous person told them that this may help some of us here, that they originally came from a stone ball circle that had about 40 to 50 balls in a circle with a larger stone ball in the center. And Dr. Sam will know where one which is still active is that way, and I'll show you it in a minute. Some in Australia, this one's kind of split open. That's a nice one. Pretty good size one. New Zealand one split open. Look at this. Look at those people up there. They look like babies. Several in New Zealand. These are some along the coastal area down here on the left. They're calling these concretions. These are Mexico. Several in Mexico. We're talking hundreds and even thousands of these stone balls around the world. How about France? See this one peeling here? Kind of indicates it was done in layers. China, nice one. Easter Island, this is my film. When I filmed this, I knew I was supposed to film it, and I knew why I was supposed to film it, but I didn't know it was a stone ball. I mean, I knew it was a stone ball, but I didn't know about stone balls in the way I know now. This was said to have been brought to Easter Island by Hotu-Matia, who was the first settler legendary on Easter Island, landed in a little area of Anakina. And he brought this stone from his homeland because it carried with it manna. Manna meaning power. It's placed there. You got the smaller ones around it. Nice one, huh? Now, here are some of the moais down, and look here. How about Bosnia? Here's the first one we saw today. By the way, that was pressing. You got in the waterfalls, didn't you?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Way to go. Now I want to make a comparison, just for a little bit. Costa Rica, Bosnia. Look at the similarities. Costa Rica, Bosnia. Costa Rica, Bosnia. You could shift them. You could take the Bosnian over to Costa Rica and they wouldn't know that you changed it. See, water fountain in Costa Rica, water fountain in Bosnia. I expect these probably were ones that were taken over to the yard. Now, I told Jill, I said, Jill, when we start this project, it's going to be out of this world. But I had no idea. And Jill came running to me one day with this photograph done by NASA, and she said, look at this. This is done by that little wheelie guy that's up there right now, running around and taking pictures of things. I haven't told NASA about this, and I don't intend to. If you want to, you can, but it looks to me like it's more than international. This is just a few of the places that I'm aware where the stone balls exist. Look at that. That is a worldwide phenomenon. South America, yes. Costa Rica, Ecuador, Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Greenland, everywhere. And, you know, the more we look, the more we're going to find. Maybe. And maybe that has more truth in it than we might imagine. Thank you very much.